Transforming care through genomic medicine, personalized therapeutics, health services and outcomes research, and innovations in healthcare delivery. We're Children's Mercy Kansas City, presenting our audio interview series, Transformational Pediatrics, with host Dr. Michael Smith.
Welcome to Transformational Pediatrics. I'm Dr. Michael Smith, and our topic is Preventive Cardiology. My guest is Dr. Geetha Raghuveer. Dr. Raghuveer is a pediatric cardiologist at Children's Mercy Kansas City and a professor of pediatrics at the University of Missouri, Kansas City School of Medicine. Dr. Raghuveer, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So tell me about the typical type of patient that is referred to the Preventive Cardiology Clinic.
Yeah, sure. So we take care of children up until 18 years of age, and a typical patient would be maybe an 11-year-old who's had cholesterol testing done as part of a well-child checkup or family history of someone having had a heart attack at a young age and as a result has had cholesterol testing done. And they're found to have a high LDL, which is the bad cholesterol level, or sometimes a high LDL and also a high triglyceride, which is a measure of your blood fat. So, a lot of the times I see kids who have not just one elevation in their blood levels, but, maybe two or three abnormalities. So that's the typical population. Now, a lot of them are overweight and have other risk factors, such as being exposed to tobacco smoke, which is not good for your heart, or hypertension, which is not good for your heart either, or they may have early signs of diabetes, which is a rising concern in this population. So a typical patient, to answer your question, comes with not just one problem, but, maybe 3 to 5 so-called risk factors which can promote early heart disease in this population.
Right. So when you mentioned, if a child has a family history of somebody with, I'm assuming a first-degree relative who's had a premature cardiac event or premature cardiac death, what are we calling premature? What's the age range there for that to be a positive history?
That's a good question. Yeah, it's typically an adult relative who is less than 45 years of age, especially if they're male, and somewhat of a later age, maybe less than 55 years if they're female. That's what's premature. But a lot of the times in these kids who have extremely high LDL cholesterol level because of genetics, they have events in the family at an even younger age. It could be a 28-year-old dad who had a heart attack, or maybe a 40-year-old grandpa who's had a heart attack. So we do go into not just parental history, because a lot of the times these parents could be quite young and not have clinical disease themselves, but some of them do already, but we look into the grandparents also.
How important, so when you do a typical workup with these patients, you've mentioned a few lab values that you're going to be checking. How often do you do more of these advanced cholesterol tests where you're breaking down the LDL subtypes, the HDL subtypes? Do you do those kind of tests as well?
No, I don't. I know there is some utility to doing that, and some of my lipid specialist colleagues in the adult world do that, and I have not initiated that testing. It's important to remember that, in kids, we want what is called as primary or primordial prevention. We want to promote good practices, and looking into these type of details may help in a particular kid, but generally, a run-of-the-mill kid who comes in with several risk factors and has some behavioral issues that can be modified. The focus should be on modifying behavior and optimizing lifestyle. So to answer your question, I don't do them routinely.
And so in your clinic, how many patients are you guys seeing every year?
I see about, last year we saw about 325 patients. That is inclusive of new patient visits and, repeat visits. About 50% of the patients who come to my clinic have what we call a familial hypercholesterolemia. That is, they have a genetically based elevation in their bad cholesterol, LDL cholesterol levels. The other half are lifestyle-induced dyslipidemia, typically associated with obesity. But I'm starting to see a very concerning trend. A lot of the familial patients are also obese, so it's a double whammy. They have bad genetics, plus they also have acquired risk factors due to bad lifestyle.
Right, right. Well, so walk us through a typical workup, a typical office visit for one of your patients.
Sure. So, a lot of the times these referrals come from pediatricians. Sometimes my endocrinology colleagues send insulin resistance patients who have extreme dyslipidemia. We do have entry criteria to come to our clinic in terms of what their LDL and triglyceride levels should be. And we usually test the lipids twice just to be sure that, we do have persisting dyslipidemia. So they have two sets of labs. They come in and I see them first to obtain a history, family history, which is focused to cardiovascular disease, and do an examination. We want to make sure that there is no evidence of tendon xanthoma, which are nodules which we see on tendons, which is a marker of genetic dyslipidemia, which is rare, but we have seen them in a few of our patients. We also want to look at the back of their necks to see if they have acanthosis, which is a marker of insulin resistance and pre-diabetes. We want to see body fat distribution, if they have abdominal adiposity, and that could be a sign of visceral adiposity, and that is particularly toxic for the cardiovasculature. We look at their body mass index, and I review the labs with them, and just factually what's what. I go through the process of atherosclerosis. We have models in our clinic, plastic model of atherosclerosis, which the kids seem to like, and even the parents seem to understand better when I show them the model and show them what happens when a healthy blood vessel is exposed to risk factors, and over time how it can get clogged. I go over bad cholesterol, good cholesterol, which is HDL, the role of triglycerides. There's a misconception that eating fat makes you fat, and I kind of, educate them at the association between excess caloric intake and excess starchy and sugary foods, and its association with high triglycerides, obesity, and insulin resistance. We also look into the smoking history. I come from Kansas City, Missouri. We have, in this state, the highest prevalence of, one of the highest prevalence of exposure to secondhand smoke. And we also, unfortunately, have low taxation on tobacco. So I'm not sure if they are associated, but could be. But, we do see kids who are exposed to tobacco smoke. So I go through not just the lipid, but all the other risk factors, such as high blood pressure. Some of them could have that, insulin resistance. And we also look at vitamin D deficiency, which is associated with cardiovascular morbidity and, endocrine morbidities such as diabetes. And a lot of our obese kids are also vitamin D deficient, and I correct them pharmacologically if it's extremely deficient, and also advise on dietary practices which can help improve vitamin D levels. So that's kind of the beginning. And then they see a couple of our team members. One of them is a nutritionist who looks at their dietary call and makes customized recommendations to how they could improve their dietary habits. They're also evaluated by our exercise physiologist, who looks at their activity baseline and then makes recommendations based on what the family can do and what the kid can do within a school setting, and after hours based on where they live, and safety in the neighborhood, etc. So we kind of wrap up the visit at the end of all that, giving them some goals, which are made in in collaboration with the child and the family, and schedule them for a repeat visit. And we hope that they keep some of these goals. And the main basis of this clinic is education, as you can understand, and we hope to educate the family. The kids themselves play a role, but they don't play a very primary role when they're younger. So it's mainly the family that needs education. And I'm very particular about telling these families that we need to change as a family, and it's not going to work if just Johnny is made to do this versus the rest of the family not doing the same thing.
So tell us about the behavioral outcomes database and what you're doing with that.
Well, we do have some questionnaires we collect from the families as to, for example, does your child eat breakfast every day, and who's around the child smokes, and how many fruits and vegetables are consumed by your child, and how many days in a week does your child eat dessert, and how many days in a week does your child drink sugary beverages, which is a large part of our population. So we kind of collect that, and that gives us an idea where they are at, and based on that, we tailor our recommendations with regards to optimizing lifestyle. The same thing with secondhand smoke exposure. It could be the parent, it could be the grandparent, but if they're not ready for change, the first thing is to gather the information, and then perception is also very important. Some kids who come to our clinic are not even sure, their parents are not even sure if they're overweight, where they're at on the growth chart. So it's really important to share the growth chart with the family and spend time in explaining the growth chart and see trends. We see some concerning trends at times. A kid who has average weight and rapidly gains weight, and it could be some circumstances. It could be stress. It could be something else going on. But understanding the growth chart is real important, and an accurate perception by the parents as to what their child's weight status is important in helping optimizing lifestyle change.
Right. Well, I'm speaking with Dr. Geetha Raghuveer. She is from the Preventive Cardiology Clinic at Children's Mercy, Kansas City. Dr. Raghuveer, thank you for the work that you're doing, and thanks for coming on the show. You're listening to Transformational Pediatrics at Children's Mercy, Kansas City. For more information, you go to childrensmercy.org. That's childrensmercy.org. I'm Dr. Michael Smith. Thanks for listening.